Hey everyone, welcome. It's just that time, actually a little bit after. Sorry about that. It is May 27th. It's 3 o'clock and it's time for Dorchester School District 2 Live PD. Today we have GoGuardian. GoGuardian software is the software that we'll use with our student devices. It's a teacher management software. So if you are a teacher in grades 3 through 12, all of your students will soon have a Dell 3190 Latitude student laptop. And of course, many teachers are always wondering, how will I know what they're doing on that? How can I see what they're doing? How can I make them stop doing that? And that's what GoGuardian is going to offer you. It's a software that's built in that you can access through Clever, and it allows you to manage your student devices. It's rostered, comes in through PowerSchool, great student rostering, and allows you to really take control and make sure students are doing what they're supposed to do. And today we're going to check that software out. If you are not a teacher in grades 3 through 12, but you still have an interest in participating, you're welcome to do so, and we're glad you're here. In today's session, participants will be introduced to the GoGuardian software that helps teachers easily manage their student devices and keep them safer online. Participants will be shown the dashboard and some basic navigation to use the program within their classroom so that students stay on task. Again, even though the audience is 3rd through 12th grade classroom teachers, everyone is encouraged to participate that has an interest. Today we have our lead presenter, Roy Button. He's from GoGuardian and he's online with us today. I'm Shelley Bostwick. I'm joining you again. And of course, thanks to our producer, Mark Meyer. We also have our Q&A moderators today. Thank you for being here, Lara Hayes, Jen Fairburn, and Amy Rossi. For your attendee experience, no microphone or webcam is needed. Only the presenters share audio and video. And you'll use the Q&A feature to ask questions today. Please be sure that you're signed into your device. Your login identifies you and allows us to easily award tech and renewal credit. And by joining the live PD, you automatically register an ERO. You'll earn 1 hour of technology proficiency credit and 1 hour of renewal credit for joining us today. And you'll receive that credit in ERO within 48 hours of the completion of the webinar. If you missed out on some of our online PD, don't worry, we always record our DD2 online PD. If you visit our Microsoft team, DD2 online PD, and look up in the top menu for on-demand trainings, you can select any one of the recorded sessions, follow it all the way through to the end, and if you do, a quiz will pop up, you take the assessment, get an 80 or higher, and that's how we award credit. If you don't get it right the first time, no need to tell me and let me know. You can just go ahead and try the quiz again. Hopefully you'll do your best the first time through. Your internet connection is important. Make sure that that you have either a hardline internet connection or a strong Wi-Fi signal. That way you have the best audio and video connection. And all session participants are registered to win a $10 gift card. Will it be you today? We'll find out at the very end when we draw a name. And of course, if you attend at least 3 sessions this week, you are registered to go in the drawing for a $25 gift card, thanks to Canty Technologies. Of course, congratulations to Carissa House from Somerville Elementary School. She was our latest winner of the $25 Canty Technologies Amazon gift card. I hope you buy something fun, Carissa. We're excited you're here and the live PD session is about to begin. Today, again, we have GoGuardian. Tomorrow, we've got something new and exciting. It's actually 2 sessions tomorrow. Check us out at 10 o'clock a.m. Patrick Dunn will be there, and he'll be showing you Microsoft Stream and video engagement. Many of you have asked, how do you get these videos put in the on-demand portal with fancy videos, quizzes that come on, and how do you do all this razzle-dazzle? Patrick is going to reveal the magician's secrets of how it's done, so join him tomorrow at 10 to check that out. Also, we'll have Unified Classroom at 3 p.m. Classroom teachers, whether you teach kindergarten through 12th grade, great session for you. Find out how you can use how Parent Portal is used, Unified Classroom, communications, all those components of PowerSchool you may or may not have already been using. And then next week, we'll have our mobile device guide and student Dell device preview. So today we're going to be talking about GoGuardian, which is our teacher management software of the devices, but you're probably like, I don't even know what kind of device my kids are getting. Find out on June 2nd when we reveal and show you, give you a little sneak peek, and also talk about our policies and procedures. And if you just can't get enough of online PD, don't worry, because this summer we're going to have even more of it. So join us on June 3rd and you'll find out what's going to be available and how you can access more PD all summer long. All right, well, it's time to get started. So we're going to head on over to our friend Roy from GoGuardian. Roy, if you would go ahead and share your screen, we're glad you're here and ready for you.
Yes, thank you, Shelley, for the introduction, and good afternoon, everyone. And let me just find my screen here. Beautiful. So is that coming through all right, Shelley?
Yep, perfect.
Oh, great. Well, I can take it from here. And yes, thank you again, everyone, for joining. This is GoGuardian. So what GoGuardian can help you do is it enables you to both see what your students are doing on their devices, along with giving you some tools and reporting features that enable you to see not only where students are going, but maybe control the browsing environment that they're accessing, along with some reporting tools that show you, hey, where is the student spending a majority of their time in the classroom? How are they engaging with technology in the classroom? And we will dive right into that. So what we're seeing here is actually the first page you will see when you log in as a teacher. When you first log in, you'll have some classes under pending. So if you toggle over to pending, you'll see your classes listed, and these will actually be from the rostering software that your school or district uses already. This information will be pulled in automatically, and all you have to do is go in and accept the classrooms. When that happens, if any students change class, let's say it's the beginning of the school year and they go from your first period class on a Monday, and then on Tuesday they're now in your second period class, you would be able to see those changes reflected in your classroom, and you don't have to make any of them yourself. Let's go over to my active classes here. We could see a few things. I'm going to click on this class. I'm going to hit settings here, and I'm going to see a few things. Classroom name. I was having some fun with some districts down in Louisiana. If you're a Louisiana historian or you just like pirates like I do, you'll know who this person is. But what you can do is you can actually go in and change this classroom name. Let's change it to history. To fall 20. So I can change this information here really easily. I can also go in and hit update. I'm going to go to my scheduling, and I can go in and set a schedule for my class. And what this does is it enables me to have these classes running automatically. If I don't want to set this up, I also have the ability to actually go in and start my classes. Let's say I hand out my devices a little bit later in the day, or it's just based on a project that we're going over first, and I want to start my class a little bit later. These sessions can be scheduled. You don't have to do it. Reporting emails, these are great. They send a reporting email after every class session that you have, and they go over what your students were looking at, where they were spending a majority of their time, and really helpful if you want to see that. It's great to put them in a specific folder in your email, just so you can access them all in the same place. I'm going to go back here, and I changed that name to History Period 2. I'm going to click on that now. So I'm going to see a couple things. The first is this list of sessions. So what this is actually a list of historic browsing sessions I've had. You could just think of them as historic class sessions. So I could go back to February, and I can go in and see what students are doing, and you'll notice there's a gold notification or a gold highlight and a silver highlight. We can get into that here in a little bit. I click on this, I can see that Chris was looking not only at his email, but the other tabs that he had open as well. If I want to go to a more recent classroom, click on this and see that it's changed a little bit. The colors are different, but I can actually go in and see here what David was looking at. I see he was on Facebook, and then he has 3 other tabs open as well. And if I did anything during this classroom session, took a snapshot, I would be able to see what that snapshot was of. A command log if I was opening or closing tabs. Go back to that class now. And I mentioned that you don't have to schedule a session. You can just start them automatically, or you can start them manually, pardon me, by just simply going to the class. It'll be under sessions, and you just hit start session. We're going to have it run for 45 minutes. And what we're going to be seeing here is a view of the student screens. So they're slowly populating, and what we're able to see here is the browsing behavior along with any other tabs that the student has open. So I can see that the student is trying to go to, it looks like a game. Then they have some other tabs open as well. Click out this, and let's see what Becca has open. She has the Khan Academy open. So what I can do is say, she has math.com and she has a Kahoot open as well. I'm going to go ahead and close out math.com because this is history class. And I can then actually send her to another tab that I might want her to check out for the day. It could be a website, it could be a specific library resource, whatever information I have, I can share with the student right here. I can also, from this, toggle over to chat and chat directly with Becca. This chat feature is just teacher to student, and all of that class chat history will be logged here, and I can actually go in and tell Becca to get back work. And I'm going to see this chat bubble here, and I've seen the chat populate in the student's browser. So simply by clicking on the browsing tile of each student, I'm able to see not only the tab that they currently have open, but also the other tabs that they have open in their browser. I can send them to a new browser. I can close out their tab. I have a lot of options for what I can do here. I can also lock their device, or I can take a screenshot, and that will now be recorded in my snapshots tab here. So, we saw what we could do with one student. What about all of them? I can actually go in and select all of my students and open a tab and lock their devices. I can unlock their devices. This is really helpful for when you just want to point your students all in the same direction. I would be able to say, hey, we're working on this today. Here is your assignment, and here is where we're going to start, and I can send them all to the same URL with a few clicks of a button. And if I wanted to open up this chat feature to the rest of my students, not just Becca, I can actually go in here and toggle it on for everyone. And now all of the students are slowly seeing bubble here. all of the students are seeing that chat function and now can maybe ask me a question, bring up something that they are maybe getting stuck on. And because I can actually see their screen, I can go in and say, hey, I noticed you're a little bit behind on this assignment. What can I help you with? A great way to interact with students who might not respond the same as other folks. If they don't like being called out in front of a classroom, if you know that they're a little bit shy, this is a great way to interact with those students. For now, and I'm going to now look at off-task alerts. So this is an interesting new tool that we built out. What it does, it actually looks at the content of the student and compares it to what the subject is for this classroom session. So I actually toggle it on here and click this drop down, the 3 dots there. I would pick my class subject, it's history or social science, and then I could pick my sensitivity. It could be lenient, which is a minute. It could be moderate, which is 30 seconds, or it could be strict, which is 15 seconds. And I will actually receive notifications from GoGuardian if a student is off task for a certain amount of time. So an alert here, Bianca is off task, shows me how long she's been off task for. Jacqueline is also off task. So this actually looks at the information on the website and says, hey, this probably doesn't have anything to do with history or social science. It could be a math game, something like that. We will be able to pick it up and report back to the teacher. And if we go to our timeline here, so this is that timeline view. This is another view that we have available in those historic browsing sessions. You're able to see these timelines, but if you notice when I enabled the off-task alerts, the colors here go to gold, and that is when a student has been marked as off-task. So just another way to really visualize what the students are looking at. If you like the colors, this is certainly something that you can use versus the screens. If you want to just be able to quickly glance at it, it is a great tool for that. Go ahead and toggle that off for now, and then get into our newest tool, which is called Present to Class. So what this does is enables me, whether I'm in a classroom, in a physical classroom, or in a remote learning environment, to present to my students. Within here, I can enable a camera if I would like to. I can enable a microphone if need be. So that way I could actually lecture to my students in this classroom session. I can present my screen, and this is really, these two at the bottom I think are going to be the ones that are used most often, is presenting my screen. I'm going to do that. I'm going to select what students to present to. I'm going to select all of them. It'll ask me to choose what to share, and I'm going to pick an application window. Share that. And I'm going to then lock students to my presentation if that previously, excuse me. So I'm not going to lock them to my presentation just yet. Now I will. And if we go back to my classroom session here, I am able to see that I'm presenting myself, presenting to my students. And if you were to enable that microphone and that camera feed as well, it would be a little box in the upper right hand corner here where you can actually talk to your students. But we can see that those students are locked into my presentation. And this is a great tool, like I said, for either in person or a remote learning environment. You have the ability to do both, and it's a great way to just share things that other students are working on with the entire class, or share an assignment that might be going over with the students on the devices as well. Presentation here for a second. And so what we've been over thus far, the basic instruction on how to open tabs, close tabs, send out a chat to a student, maybe send out maybe locking the student's browser. We're able to take those screenshots by looking at what a student might be looking at and snapping it right here. Now, what about controlling the student's browsing environment entirely? So that's what we call scenes, and that's just basically a controlled browsing tool. So in these scenes, if I click create a scene, I can name the scene, call it history, all funny. I can go in and say, go in for allow mode or block mode. Allow mode says everything is allowed except for websites I specifically block. So I'm going to go in and block YouTube. Might add another, if there's a gaming site I'm aware of, I might add that. Because I'm already behind in the trends here. I don't know if Fortnite is still a thing. But we can go in and block any site that has Fortnite in the URL, and we do that with those two stars right there. Or maybe this is a better one. Add that as well. So now YouTube will be blocked. Any URL with Fortnite in it will be blocked, and any URL with TikTok in it will be blocked as well. But let's say I have a very clear vision of what my lesson plan is going to be for that day and what I want to have my students access. I can toggle over to block mode, and then I can actually add my specific sites that I have deemed appropriate for this classroom session. And let's say that is a couple textbook resources. It might be a Kahoot quiz, and it could be another site, let's say a library site, something that's provided by the state, any resource that might pertain to my history class for this day. I can add that site here. And then if I scroll down to tab management, I can enter those URLs again, and those will be the sites that automatically open when the student goes up to their, or picks up their device, logs in, and pops open their browser. These, along with the browser, will be opened automatically. If I go to the maximum tab limit, I can actually set that here as well and say, hey, we're only getting to open 6 tabs today. That's probably enough for what you're trying to accomplish. So there are some great tools in here. One is you're able to create a custom list. So if you have a list of websites that you're always going to want to block, you can go in and create them here and add a new list. The district can also add some quick lists for you just by some maybe previously vetted sites. It's really easy to get up and running with this, and we've actually seen that by using all of the other features, successfully pushing URLs, maybe closing out some tabs, or just maybe blocking YouTube for the day. It saves about 7 minutes of instructional time per hour per day. So 7 hours of instructional time, 49 minutes a day, that's not half bad. What we can also do within these scenes is quickly edit or modify them. So if I go back to my class here and I'm actually going to apply a scene. I have one, it's the history of music through YouTube, and I believe what it does is it automatically opens YouTube. Yes, it does. So some other students are trying to, it looks like I've allowed Google Drive as well. So students are trying to get to some sites that might not be allowed by this class, but I can actually go in and see my scene is blocking google.com, and I can go in and say, I'm going to unblock that for class. So I can unblock the site or only this page. So this is a great added feature here to quickly modify the scene. If you notice students are trying to get somewhere that you just didn't think of. Likewise, if we go here and, or excuse me, if we toggle to the left-hand navigation where scenes are located and go into the history of music through YouTube. So let's see what's allowed here. It looks like Kahoot is allowed, G Suite is allowed, YouTube is allowed, and YouTube is automatically opened. I can go in here and also add another site for this day. Let's say it's ESPN for who knows what reason other than easy spelling, and update the scene. Students are now able to access ESPN. Unfortunately, it's something that we have blocked for our robot students, but just for example's sake, it is now available to be viewed by those students. So it's a great way when you're successfully using these scenes to quickly modify them, to update them. You know, we really suggest creating only a couple of these so that you can easily manage the two of them, or maybe an allow mode scene and a block mode scene. Just becomes easier to manage and definitely easier to add or remove sites based on the lesson plan for that day. If you ever notice that a yellow bar is across the screen at the top here, it might say some of your students are in another scene. What you can do is remove any scene from, let's say, another teacher who accidentally applied one, or go in and apply your own. This is a really quick way to manage what scene is being used by those students. So we've seen the classrooms, we've seen the scenes. Let's check out the student reports. So I mentioned the reporting features. What we can actually do with these is go to our classroom, select a student, and we can select a date range. These ranges happen in 30-day intervals, and they go back 6 months. Month of April. So here is what we're able to see from Baran's browsing from April. We can see his top 5 websites, the top documents he's accessing, his top 5 Google searches, any interventions that we've had. So it could be tabs open or closed, any block sites that he's hit, or any locked screens that we've done, then any snapshots we've taken during the classroom sessions. It also gives us a detailed browsing report here of what he was looking at through the month of April, and I can scroll through just about everything. So this is great to access, you know, for a parent-teacher meeting, something where a student has been performing particularly well, and you can see what they're accessing beyond what their classmates are accessing, maybe where they're spending a majority of their time, or it could be something if a student's falling behind a bit, where are they falling off in the lesson plan? You can look at specific days. You can say, hey, where am I losing this student? What can be improved for them to really engage them with the material for that day? And finally here, we have our help section. So this is a really great spot. One, you have the how-to guides. These are great. And we also have this help button down here. This is actually going to follow you around anywhere you are. Classrooms, scenes, or back to the help section. It's always going to be in that bottom right-hand corner. If you ever run into anything specific, you can access the GoGuardian Help Center. And what it does is it takes your question and then gives you a set of articles that you might be able to access to help you out immediately. There is also someone at the other end of the line too, so they can, if none of these are helping, we do have a live chat that is incredible, and they are able to actually go in and help. We have video training, so this is very nice. It's at university.goguardian.com. We have a training course. We also, on the course pages, we have the training course, which is the modular videos. We have a PDF guide, which goes over everything that we've gone over today as well. And then we have a pre-recorded webinar. And then we also have an exam for you to take, and it's where you become a certified GoGuardian teacher. Back to the Help Center, we also have the Vote on New Features tool. If you ever see anything in the platform that you notice where it could be an improvement, we really suggest you popping in here and adding your thoughts. Something might already be on here and you can vote for it. If not, please enter that idea. We take those very seriously. If you look here, allow teachers to mirror their screen onto their student screens, and this is something we have built. So that is GoGuardian. We go back to our class here. Once again, we have the screen view, we have the timeline view where students are browsing. You can see snapshots of what our students have gone to, and we can download them if need be. We can present to our classroom. If we want to, we can chat with the entire class, open it up to the entire class. And once again, this is just teacher to student. So there is no larger class forum for them to chat with each other. This is only teacher to student. We have the off-task alerts, which notify you with a little gold bar around the students. And we have the scenes or controlled browsing environment where you can actually go in and dictate what sites the students can or cannot access for that day. And in the student reporting, you can select classroom, select a student, and see their browsing from the last, this is today. We can go back last 30 days and see where Becca has been. So we can open it up for questions now. If there are any questions that have come up, Kelly, I'll let you direct that.
Awesome. Thanks, Roy. I know Mark is looking through the questions now, and we've had lots of them come in, and they're all things I know you've answered before. So Mark's just going to start rattling them off, and we'll do as many as we can get through, okay?
Sounds good.
All right. Roy, do you have your thinking cap on?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So we only have a few. We only have a couple questions. First of all, thank you, Roy, for joining us and showing us GoGuardian. Thank you also to Jen Fairburn and Patrick Dunn and Amy Rossi for handling the Q&A stuff. So Well, Roy, I know that our students are going to be very disappointed that Cool Math and Slither.io are no longer accessible. You know, they learn so much from those sites.
Right.
Can the students still access sites using a proxy if they use a proxy server?
Oh, great question. So that's actually something we're working with Canty on. So we're hoping that all of the proxies will be blocked. If there's ever something that you notice a student is doing, we really suggest to take a snapshot of that, and then you can report it back to an administrator, and we could connect with the Canty team and make sure that that site is blocked here on out.
And I do want to add to that, there's another component of GoGuardian, an admin portal that Canty uses that's something different than what the teachers have. And we've been really practicing with that when we've been releasing devices to students right now during our e-learning time. Many of our students actually have a lot of our HB streams and devices, and we are quickly alerted when a student attempts to access any kind of proxy server. So we're already seeing that, learning from it. We know that there's always a new proxy server. Every time we find them all, there's 10 more. So it's really coming super handy for us to alert us, and that way we can get in touch with parents and leadership. So good example so far.
Yeah, absolutely, Roy. And one thing that we learned is that students can be the best teachers when it comes to finding how to get around walls that we've set up for them. How about incognito mode? Is that going to be an issue? Is that going to be something if a student is browsing in incognito mode?
Oh, great question. Yeah, so that'll be something that will actually be blocked on the district end.
Okay, perfect. We had another question. A teacher wanted to know if there was maybe a sandbox version of GoGuardian available for teachers so that they can kind of play around with the program before it's introduced to them.
That is a great question, and we don't have that right now. That's actually something we're working on. So let me actually check to see where we're at with that.
Okay, sure. And I know that going a different route, we do still have some desktop computers in a school, like maybe in a lab setting or in a business class setting where kids will be using that instead of the device. Does GoGuardian work on these desktop computers as well?
Yes, it does.
Okay, so it's kind of linked to the student's account then, so it'll kind of follow them wherever
Correct.
they go.
Yeah.
Great. How about let's say I wanted to block a website only for certain kids in the class. Do I have that ability as a teacher?
That is being worked on as well right now. At this point, no, but I actually think I need to check in with our team, but I believe it's in the very near future. That was a big, that was an item that was requested quite a bit, and especially right now during remote learning sessions, it is something that is important. And yeah, I'll definitely check in with them on that and get back to everyone.
Gotcha. How about when the kids are at home? Now we're talking about distance learning. Kids are going to be taking their devices home and connecting to their home Wi-Fi. Is GoGuardian also going to work then?
Yeah, so it's actually a great question. Prior to all of this, what we've always had safeguards in place for students who, let's say, were at home during class sessions with their device. Let's say they're homesick, they're working on math homework during their usual history class. This would prevent them from working on math homework because their history teacher keeps accidentally, blocking them from accessing it. Well, we had safeguards built so that couldn't happen. Because of distance learning, this is something that we are able to set up both on and off campus, and you will have that available to you.
Okay, yeah, good to know. Absolutely. So kind of going down another path there, when the student has their device at home, they'll still be able to access Clever and everything like that, connected to their home Wi-Fi.
Yeah, I'm Fairly certain. I'm not sure on the Clever side, but I'm guessing that is still something that you can access while you're on a home Wi-Fi.
All right, great. Had a question about students taking a screenshot. Can the GoGuardian software tell if a student took a screenshot, to kind of prevent sharing of content, or maybe even if they downloaded a file? Can GoGuardian tell if they've taken a screenshot of something or downloaded a file?
Yeah, great question. Unfortunately, we're not able to do that. Get into a file download or a screenshot being taken. But if you notice, one thing that is, I think, a great tool to use is those student reports. Or if you notice that, let's say Chris here and David and Diane are all on the same website, or they have gone to the same website and then they got pretty similar scores on a test. That's a great tool to use, where you can actually do a little bit of forensics and see where they're spending their time, maybe something that they've shared together, and be able to spot it there.
Great. Yeah. Oh, and just to piggyback off the Clever thing, teachers will access GoGuardian through their Clever account. Is that correct?
Yes.
Perfect. Chat. We had a few questions about the chat feature.
Yeah.
Which is a great communication tool. Can you use that chat feature with students when they're not in your class? Like if you wanted to send them a chat message when they're not in your particular class?
No, so it would be something where they are in your classroom, and they're in your classroom session.
Okay. How about, can a student initiate a chat with a teacher? Is that a possibility?
So if you enable chat for your students, if you toggle this on, students would be able to initiate a chat. If you leave it off and just want to chat with specific students, you can do that too, and they wouldn't be able to initiate it.
Okay, and then a final chat message. How about, can you push out a chat message to a whole class? Like if you wanted to make an entire class announcement, push that out through GoGuardian. Is that something that's possible?
Great question, because this is something that I forget to talk about. If I enable chat, this little bubble comes up right here. Click that. I click the megaphone. I can send an announcement to the class. So what this does is, if a student is on a site, if I say 5 minutes left, this takes up their whole screen on it within the browser and says 5 minutes left. And they actually have to click out of it to access what they were doing.
Gotcha. How about if I'm a teacher, can I chat with a student who's not in my class at that time? I'm not sure if you answered that already.
Yeah, you're not able to chat with, like if, let's say in a remote learning environment, if you are doing maybe like office hours and you want to set that up, what you could do is actually have multiple classes running, and then you can chat with students from different classes, but they actually have to be in one of your enrolled classes for you to chat with them.
Gotcha. I know that's kind of, that two-way communication has really kind of become big for us as we kind of go through this uncharted waters.
Certainly
here. So
yeah.
Teachers are always looking for a way to communicate with kids. Now, if I'm a classroom teacher, am I able to see what they do in other classes as well? Like maybe if I wanted to see what they were doing in a social studies class or something like that?
No, unfortunately, I guess, or fortunately or unfortunately, I'm the child of two teachers, so I guess fortunately for me, all you would be able to see is what the students were doing in your classroom.
Yeah, so Roy, you learned early on that you
Yes.
could get away with anything.
Yeah,
everything.
I fell asleep in math class in high school at the end of the class, like as you know, you're wont to do, and then a period later, I heard about it from my dad. So
That's awesome.
what I
That's awesome.
dealt with.
Hey, I don't know if we talked about this before when we were talking about the screenshot, but downloading a file. Could you tell if a student downloaded something onto their device, a file or something like that?
Yeah, we did and you cannot see if a student uses or had downloaded something.
Got you. How about the camera feature? We had a question earlier on about if a teacher can disable that camera feature or not.
If I guess which camera feature? If the student is using a camera, or yes, I'm not sure on the question.
Maybe they're wondering if they could, kind of disable the student's camera, because students have webcams. I think they're like, oh, I don't want you to be able to use a webcam in my class, so I'm turning it off.
Yes.
Got it. Yeah, we are not able to control that. Then again, we do have the ability. So unfortunately, Gerardo is our the student that we'd be able to see this on. Unfortunately, he must be shut in our office or shut down in our office. But what you can see running on I guess it would be your students' devices is it'll say the active tab here, but it'll also have a list for the applications running. And you would be able to see if maybe that specific webcam has an application running in the background. You'd be able to see it and you would be able to close it out.
Okay. We had a question about the off-task portion.
Yeah.
Does that off-task portion, does that mean that the student went to a different website, or does it just mean that they're idle and they aren't actively working?
Great question. So it's if they go to a different website, something that doesn't fall under the usual, I guess, class list or even subject list for that class period. So if I were trying to do my math homework in history class, that would trigger an off-task alert. If I was looking at New York Times or a newspaper website, that wouldn't, because it still falls under the umbrella of history, social science.
Perfect. So I had a couple questions regarding teachers kind of stepping over each other as GoGuardian, as things are being blocked or that. So let's talk about YouTube. So YouTube, very popular. It's got a lot of educational and a lot of non-educational stuff. I know, my own child loves to watch YouTube for hours, but let's say that a teacher blocks YouTube for a student, but I use it in my class. Can the student still access YouTube in my class and for homework, even though, say, maybe their math teacher has blocked it?
Yes, they will still be able to access that. So normally how the scenes are applied is by the classroom session. So this one that we're currently looking at has 8 minutes left. When those 8 minutes expire, everything associated with this classroom session would end. Let's say that the bell rings, or let's say that the bell rang even 10 minutes ago, and I still had a scene running on this. My colleague would see a little yellow bar up here. Sorry, I'm using my hands, not my mouse. My colleagues would see a little yellow bar up here that says your students are in a different scene, and that scene might be blocking YouTube. If that happens, I could either go in here and reset it by clicking none, or applying my own scene that does allow YouTube. And basically what that does is it overrides that teacher who might, just have forgotten to end their session, and you shouldn't need to do that ever again during that classroom session. It should just be one and done.
Awesome. And is it possible for a teacher to accidentally interrupt another teacher's class with GoGuardian? Is that something?
So there, I guess it would be if, let's say, I hadn't had my morning coffee and thought that it was third period, not second period. I started that classroom session and it was running, and then I, forgot to end it. That would be the only way I see that happening. Other than that, there isn't a way for another teacher to interrupt, unless a teacher for the day wanted to add. If we go back to our classrooms here, if they go into settings and added that other teacher as a teacher, maybe they wanted to play a practical joke on their students, they could do that here.
Great. Well, Roy, thank you so much, man. I know that was a lot kind of coming at you, fast and furious, but I think you've answered tons of questions. Shelley, if you have anything else, I'm going to turn it over to you.
Yeah, thank you. That's awesome. Roy, don't go anywhere because we're going to need you to pick our winner for us today. We had 810 participants today joining our live PD session, and so we'd love for you to choose a number between 1 and 810.
Ooh, that's a tough one. Let's do 530.
That's fine. That's the only time you said that was a tough question today. Everything else was a great question. You can't wait to answer. All right, our winner today is school administrator. We have Michelle Leviner is our winner today. She wins a $10 gift card thanks to our Dorchester School District 2 Staff Development Department. Michelle will be getting that out to you this week. Roy, we want to thank you again for joining us today, and we're excited to have this software. We're excited to get our devices very soon, and I know that we'll be chatting with you again. So thanks everybody for participating today, and we'll see you tomorrow at 3 for another session of Live PD.